my journey started with a lot of rebellion. I was an only daughter. I had two brothers and lots of male cousins. Belonged to an army family, so a lot of very masculine type of men around us. And from a very young age, ये समझ मुझे आ गई थी कि I am somewhat of Allah Ta'ala has blessed me with intelligence, top वॉप करती थी, तो ये लड़कों से मुकाबलाबाजी मेरे अंदर बड़ी यंग एज में, एक तो इट वाज अ मैटर ऑफ सर्वाइवल, क्योंकि वो अपने साथ खेलने नहीं देते थे, राइट, कि अगर रोने लग गई तो ओए लड़की 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 कह के वो मुझे निकाल देते थे, निकालो इसको, इसके साथ नहीं खेलना। और सो आई वुड प्ले गेम्स लाइक चोर पुलिस, वो जो तरकोनों से मार के खेलते थे दरख्तों पे चढ़ के। I never played with dolls. मैं मकैनो सेट के साथ खेलती थी, you know, because that was how I could fit in and feel a sense of connection. और फिर एक certain age के ऊपर आके I was told you can't do these things anymore. क्यों? Because you're a girl. Of course, I understand from my mother's perspective that she was doing what was culturally appropriate, of course. But in my young mind, it made no sense because my whole identity was around being a tomboy. दोपहर को साइकिल लेके निकल गए अम्मी अब्बू से छुप के। अब जाहिर है my mother would be scared कि ये 13-14 साल की लड़की शिकल दोपहर में जब सब सो रहे होते हैं ये अकेली साइकिल लेके निकल जाती है, no, that's not safe for a young girl. तो उस पे अब जी, this was in Pakistan. I grew up in Pakistan, कैंट में। तो वो अम्मी को अम्मी ने मेरी साइकिल्स ले ली, तो उसके बाद मैं जो बैटमैन की साइकिल होती थी सोहराब की वो लेके निकल जाती थी। वहां पे किसी ने शिकायत लगा दी कि दोपहर को ये रोज साइकिल चलाने निकली होती है दोपहर में गर्मी में। So my you know, seriously thinking about it today with the kind of confusion is around there in gender identity, I would have for sure thought ke ye galati ho gayi hai, you know, kudrat se I should have been a boy. I hated being a girl after that because so many things that I wanted to do, I thought like boys, I played with boys. So when I was told I couldn't do so many of those things anymore, I became very rebellious and I started to resent God from a very young age. कि जब मेरी मर्जी नहीं थी, मेरी choice नहीं थी, तूने मुझे इस gender में क्यों पैदा किया? All the fun seems to be going to all the boys and I'm stuck at home and I don't want to play with dolls. It just didn't make sense to me. So then I found escape in books. और अल्लाह ताला अम्मी मेरी को जन्नत नसीब करे, she was really one of the most, I would say, probably not one, the strongest person I have ever met. बड़ी दबंग खातून थी, but she was also quite conservative. तो उनका mindset ये था साहिल कि लड़की को कोई घरदारी आनी चाहिए, कुछ इस तरह का काम आना चाहिए. Literally, I heard this phrase so many times from different relatives that she's brilliant, but what a waste, because she's a girl, you know, what a waste. लड़की को तो लड़की ने intelligent होके क्या करना है? I heard that many times growing up. So when I did pre-medical, got good grades, और मैं उस time पे I wanted to do genetic engineering, जो कभी उस वक्त किसी ने सुनी भी नहीं थी. And I really good. And I was, my biology teacher actually asked my mother, she really begged her कि she's gifted in this, let her pursue this. But अम्मी ने कहा किसी सूरत में नहीं, कुड़ी को इस तरफ लगाना ही नहीं है कि ये किसी डिग्री शिग्री के चक्कर में पड़े. और पंजाबी में, you understand Punjabi, Sahil?
Oh yeah, absolutely. My family's from Lahore, yeah.
हाँ, तो वो पंजाबी में अब्बू को कहती थी कि जे इस कुड़ी दे हाथ डिग्री आ गई ते जे है वस गई ते मैनू कहना. So वो ये कहती थी इसको तो डिग्री नहीं. I was pretty, you know, strong-headed. अब्बू की लाडली थी. अब्बू had always taught us, he raised us because he's an engineer. He raised us with always questioning things, right? कि अगर ये पंखा है तो पंखे के 3 ब्लेड हैं तो 3 ब्लेड क्यों है, और ब्लेड में वो खम क्यों है, और वो कितने डिग्री का एंगल है, and why, you know, like things like that. He would make us think and question everything. So I started resenting God, and you know, when time came, तो रो पिट के फिर अच्छा जी MBA करने दें, अगर जेनेटिक इंजीनियरिंग नहीं करने दी, लम्स में दाखला हो गया. एंड अम्मी ने कहा नो वे, शादी हो गई. शादी भी इसलिए की रिश्ता ऑस्टिन से आया हुआ था. मैंने सोचा लो जी ऑस्टिन में जाके यूटी ऑस्टिन में MBA कर लूंगी, you know, something like that. But I won't go into the details of that. That was my first marriage, ended up being abusive. And then I got divorced after 8 years, had a daughter from that marriage. And then my relationship with Allah Ta'ala during that time only got worse. इतनी worse थी साहिल, कुछ लोग इसके ऊपर कोई फतवा ना निकाल दें, but when I was 18, I remember, I want to mention another thing here, that my mother was a very religious woman. जिस तरह से कुछ लोग born with a tendency of होते हैं ना, they're very religious. And she was a very pious, बहुत इबादत गुजार खातून थी. She was actually also a founding member of Al-Huda. And I grew up with the influence of Al-Huda on me very strongly. And I want to mention here that I have deep respect for Dr. Farhat Hashmi and the work she's done, but I disagreed with a lot of the things that Al-Huda was preaching and the kind of stuff they were talking about, especially regarding women's rights, about, you know, and so I would ask a lot of questions which did not sit well ever with anybody. So I started to just hate God, like, कि तुम्हें नाकिस भी बनाया है, तुम्हें नाकिसुल अक्ल भी बनाया है, तुम मान जाओ कि तुम नाकिसुल अक्ल हो, क्योंकि अल्लाह यही कहता है, right? Which Allah doesn't, but that's what I was told. And you are inferior to men, which I was like, there's no way I'm going to accept that. And in सारी कहानी में जो villain था, वो Allah Ta'ala. So I basically, at one time I declared it to Allah Ta'ala. I said, you know, I know you exist. And I know that you're very, very powerful. You can destroy me in this spot that I'm standing. You can finish me. The one thing you can't do, this was me at 18 years old. I said, the one thing you can't do is make me love you. So I want you to know that I hate you. I hate you, and I know you will put me in hell for this, whatever, but I want you to know I hate you. I was so angry at Allah Ta'ala. And I'm sharing this with you because unless we really realize that there are young girls who are at the very moment going through a process like this, where they are asking questions and they're being told to shut up and not ask questions, what happens is that then they become very distant from Islam and from Allah Ta'ala. So I was a walking, talking example of that. So after my second divorce, I started to, which was also abusive, that's when I started to basically say, you know what, something is wrong. I have to take responsibility for why my life keeps going through these cycles of destruction again and again. I am the only common denominator in this picture. So कुछ ना कुछ तो मैं कर रही हूँ ना, कहीं ना कहीं तो मेरी responsibility बनती है, and I want to find out what role have I played in my past so that I could change that for my future. So with that, I started to go into the Western self-development movement. I was fortunate enough to really learn from some of the top teachers in the world in the consciousness movement and the spirituality and self-development. Side by side, मैंने थोड़ा सा सूफिज्म में भी देखना शुरू किया. अभी तक अल्लाह ताला के साथ और इस्लाम के साथ रिलेशनशिप, कुछ और वाकयात हुए जिससे वर्सन ही होती रही. I fell in love with balanced personalities and emotional intelligence. उस जमाने में तो EQ और emotional intelligence इतने trend में नहीं थी, but that's what I really started to just fall in love with, and I valued that. And I, you know, लोगों के fans, they would be fans of Hollywood stars or Bollywood stars. They meant nothing to me. I was total fans of like people that had it figured out, you know. तो मैंने जब ये शुरू किया, what happened was कि इस्लाम और अल्लाह ताला से हालात मेरे मखदूश थे, but रसूल पाक सल्लल्लाहु अलैहि वसल्लम से मैं बहुत impressed थी. Whenever I read about him, that much I knew कि this personality was a very, very unique and beautiful personality. So emotional intelligence, और उसमें जब भी मैं अपनी research करती थी, and I wanted to find an example of excellence, ultimately वहीं पे आके सुई रुकती थी. किसी भी रोल में आप देख लें, role as a husband, role as a leader, role as a prophet, role as a statesman, as a warrior, as whichever, as a friend, as a father, as a son, whichever role, and we have so much historical evidence about the different roles that Nabi Karim Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam played. भी उसमें देखती थी, it was to this level of excellence. So I started to study his life as an objective, kind of like a researcher, not with that reverence that we have for him as a prophet. उनको human से हम ऊपर दर्जा देके फिर उस reverence से देखते हैं. I wanted to see him as a human being. I wanted to study him as a human being. And the more I studied him, the more I just absolutely fell in love with him. And I said, okay, so there is absolutely no question in my mind that he was a prophet and he was the most exalted example of excellence I have ever seen. And he preached Islam. He loved Islam. So I need to give Islam a second chance. I need to look at Islam again. Maybe the information I got was not correct. तो वहां से मेरी फिर जब जर्नी शुरू हुई, and it's so beautiful कि आप गारे हिरा की बात कर रहे थे, एक तरह से नबी करीम सल्लल्लाहु अलैहि वसल्लम ही ने गाइड किया, राइट? उनकी हयात तैयबा के एग्जाम्पल ने आपको गाइड किया. And for me also, it was Nabi Karim Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam who guided me back in a way, because his personality, even after almost 1,500 years later, it still pulls you. तो मैं भी फिर वो चुप के रोजे से मैं भी गुजरी, जिसमें my lips were sealed. When people asked me and talked to me, आपने देखा होगा मैं बहुत बातूनी हूँ, बात करने की बहुत आदत है मुझे. I could not speak. When somebody would ask me, and by this time I was running a telesummit, so I was a, kind of like an interviewer and a speaker, and people would ask me and I would say, it's as if I have lost words. I no longer have words. I feel so lost. Everything that I have known and understood, which by that time I understood a lot about the Western spiritual movement and, mind sciences and all that. I said, everything that I have understood has come under question. And I feel like I'm totally ignorant and I have no answers to anything. So when people ask me, I feel like I have no words. और उसके बाद वही जो आप बात कह रहे थे, that was my गारे हिरा. Suddenly, things started to make so much sense. और मेरी सुई आके वापस रुकती थी अल्लाह पे. The answer to every problem, everything that we face can be solved with this understanding that the source of connection, our source of connection and our source of strength has to be Allah Ta'ala, because everything else is an illusion, and it's an attachment to an illusion which is temporary, which could be there or could not be there. But when you attach to Allah Ta'ala, He's permanent. He's not going anywhere. And therefore, your source of strength and your source of happiness, your source of joy, source Allah ko, तो मेरी वो ऐसी कोई ऐसा पलटा खाया मैंने कि मैं फिर वो जो इश्क का रास्ता कहते हैं, मोहब्बत का रिश्ता कहते हैं, वो जो भी आप उसको कह लें, कि मैं फिर उसको बेस्ट फ्रेंड की तरह मैंने समझा. उसने मुझे जिस situation से जैसे जैसे निकाला. आप जानते हैं, आप you've lived in West, I was in Dallas, going through 4-5 lawsuits simultaneously. So my divorce case, my custody case, there was my bankruptcy case, my lawyers had sued me, all of that simultaneously without a lawyer representing me, because I had run out of money. I had to represent myself. And then for me to win all those cases, and I don't have any law degree, and nor do I know, khali paper leke judge ke samne chali jati thi har dafa, aur I would cry in the court, because I didn't know what to do. And the judge would literally be like this, ma'am, why don't you get a lawyer? I said, I can't get anybody pro bono because the opposing attorney scares him. I can't hire anybody because I don't have any money. And I keep showing up, Your Honor, because I want you to know I care. I care about the custody of my daughters. I just don't know what to do now. तो एक एक करके इतनी मुश्किल सिचुएशन, क्योंकि उस वक्त मुझे सिर्फ एक बस वो रस्सी पकड़ी हुई थी अल्लाह की, कि एक अगर ये मेरा रब है तो ये मेरी बच्चियों का भी रब है. और रब का मतलब है पालने वाला, तो फिर ये ही कुछ करेगा। मुझे नहीं पता मैंने क्या करना है। माई जॉब इज टू जस्ट शो अप एंड आई विल शो अप एवरी डे, रेस्ट आई डोंट नो। वो एक एक करके उसने जिस तरह से ऐसा रास्ते खोले, ऐसे उसने मिरेकल्स, जो कि सिर्फ मैं जानती थी कि दीज आर मिरेकल्स बिकॉज आई न्यू हाउ डिफिकल्ट द सिचुएशन वाज। वहां से साहिल जो मेरा उसके साथ एक याराना आप कह सकते हैं, इश्क कह सकते हैं, दोस्ती कह सकते हैं, उसको मैं अपना बेस्ट फ्रेंड कहती हूँ, कभी मैं सहेली कहती हूँ, बिकॉज अल्लाह हैज नो जेंडर एंड अल्लाह सेज यू कैन, जैसे मुझसे गुमान करोगे वैसा पाओगे। मुझे वो बस उसको मैंने ऐसे वो मेरे वो अल्लाह ताला भी, मैं सीन सोचती हूँ जब मैं 18 साल की उसको चैलेंज कर रही थी कि व्हाट यू कैंट मेक मी डू इज लव यू। उस वक्त अल्लाह ताला ने कहा होगा हाँ बच्चू देखते हैं, चल आगे चल के देखते हैं कि तू फिर बाद में मेरे इश्क की कहानियां लोगों को सुनाएगी। एंड व्हाट आई फील माय रोल नाउ इज, साहिल लोग रिचुअल्स में पढ़ के रब से इतने दूर हो गए हैं। रब की जो मोहब्बत है कि मुझे अब कोई भी, एंड विद ऑल ड्यू रिस्पेक्ट, एनी स्कॉलर, any Maulana, anybody, nobody can tell me that Allah doesn't love me. Nobody can tell me that. You know, we have this concept कि हम गुनाहगार हैं, अल्लाह कहाँ प्यार करता होगा। अरे बाबा, गुनाहगार हो तो प्यार करता है, उसने तो बनाया ही गुनाहगार है। उसने कब कहा मैं नहीं प्यार करूंगा अगर गुनाहगार हो, राइट? सो मुझे ये फील होता है कि it is one of the biggest crimes that people have been separated from Rabb. रब की मोहब्बत हम सब का हिस्सा, हक है, पैदाइशी हक। So I feel now my role is, I do other talks, I do other things also, but I feel my real role is that I can literally help people to connect with Allah Ta'ala in a way where, you know, He's your best friend. मेरे courses में माशाल्लाह से साइकोलॉजिस्ट भी आई हैं और वो खवातीन भी आई हैं जो आलिमा की उनके पास डिग्री है, एंड दे फील दे वेरी कनेक्टेड टू गॉड, एंड आफ्टर टेकिंग द कोर्स दे से, क्योंकि मैं बताती हूँ लोगों को भाई मैं स्कॉलर नहीं हूँ, मुझे बहुत कम पता है, लेकिन मैं आपको ये चीज सिखा सकती हूँ कि रब आपसे प्यार करता है और आपने रब से कैसे प्यार का रिश्ता जोड़ना है। सो दे ऑलवेज टेल मी आफ्टरवर्ड्स के you know, starting out we thought we had a very strong connection with Allah Ta'ala, but after this course it is completely changed. We feel like he is our best friend, and he is. वो इतना रहीम, इतना प्यारा, इतना क्या ज़र्फ है उसकी। क्या, मैं ये नहीं कह रही हूँ कि आप ये कि लोग ये कहें हाँ जी अल्लाह ताला बहुत प्यार करता है फिर जो मर्जी दिल चाहे अब करते जाओ। नो नो नो, दैट्स नॉट व्हाट आई एम सेइंग। बट रब की मोहब्बत से हमारी मुसलमान उम्मत मुझे लगता है दूर हो गई है। सॉफ्टनेस नहीं रही हमारे अंदर।